the show that has a take so hot, it's still reverberating through the staff.
Yeah, it is a first cousin that it's
word.
not obvious that Bill Belichick is better than Doug Peterson. It's that take. It's the same thing.
How many Super Bowls did Doug Peterson go to?
What? Doug Peterson went to 1 Super Bowl in his first 2 years.
Well, just went to one?
Yeah.
That's very different than going to 2. It's twice as many. I mean, it's just,
If
just twice as many. If I had 4 arms, you'd be like, oh, the guy only has 2 more arms. You'd be like, you have twice as many. It's a big deal.
Yeah, so imagine if the coach has won 3 times as many. This is because
His
yesterday
batting average was 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Never lost.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
You
If
can
people
make that
don't
argument.
know what we're talking about.
Now?
No.
Brew yesterday said, as an aside, obviously Andy Reid's better than Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, it's like, why are we even discussing
Wiles wouldn't let it stand.
I said it's not obvious.
He said it's not obvious.
I just raised my hand. I said, excuse me.
You didn't raise your hand.
I have a quick clarification. I don't think it's obvious.
Right, and everyone else, it's
seriously.
just the hottest take. Don't run from it.
Is New York a better city than Miami? I mean, through a lot of metrics, yes. But I can't say New York obviously better than Miami. I mean, like, time out.
That's not the
still.
That's a terrible example.
Why? It's a great city.
Because there are people alive that believe Miami's better than New York.
2 hours down I-90.
Right. Do you think Nick Sirianni's better than Andy Reid?
No, I think
exactly
Reid's better. I just don't think it's obvious.
See,
it's just not obvious.
Semantics.
It's just not. You're like, well, it's obvious.
It's obvious to everyone watching. It's obvious to everyone but you. It was obvious to Coach. Coach hates agreeing with me. It makes him feel bad inside.
I mean, the guy's got a better winning percentage since he's been in the league.
No, you said that again yesterday. That is incorrect.
Well, why wasn't Andy Reid on that graphic?
Let's start the show. Because you don't.
Because it's career winning percentage.
Yes.
He has a better career winning percentage than Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? What do you want to judge him on? What do you want to judge him on? You guys don't like him because he shaved his head. That's what it was. The guy shaved his head and he yelled at some fans. I'm going full heel. I hope we do go to Kansas City week 2. We're starting with the Hall of Fame game tonight. Chargers-Lions. Chargers kick off their actual season in Brazil in 36 days against the Andy Reid team. What's on the line for Justin Herbert this year?
Well, he just has to accomplish something. That's all. Just accomplish something. Like
Show me something.
Yeah, no, he has shown me things. It's actually, now I'm doing a different version of semantics. I've seen a lot of positive things from Justin Herbert. Just unfortunately, none of them have resulted in any tangible accomplishment. He's never led the league in any category. He's never won a playoff game. He doesn't have even like the kind of marred accomplishment of an amazing regular season and then the playoff, like 13-3, but then you lose in the playoff game. There's just, if we were to rank active starting quarterbacks by accomplishment, he doesn't make the top 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he
real.
did have that, that oft-quoted stat. Most yards ever in the first 5 years.
But if I did it, and we could, but it would be in no particular order, but I'll do as close to order as we can. The Mahomes, Rodgers, right? Or obviously ahead of him.
Yeah.
And then stop me if I say someone who's not. Josh, Lamar, Joe, we're at 5. Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco's still a starter. We're at 7. Jalen Hurts, we're at 8. Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford were at 10. Brock Purdy were at 11. Jaden Daniels were at 12. Jared Goff, who I didn't even mention, he's been to a Super Bowl and has multiple good playoff runs.
Are you just saying winning?
I'm saying
a playoff game.
Well, not just winning a playoff game. Have led the and I could have if it was just winning a playoff game, you'd put CJ ahead of him because he's done that twice. But if you haven't won any playoff games, if you've only made a Pro Bowl once, if you've never led the league in anything, and those other guys are all playing, so again, the talent is the talent, and the talent is top 10 in the league. But he has to, at the end of year 6, you've got to have accomplished something.
I think that's a little, I get it. He hasn't won a playoff game. Like you said, he hasn't led the league in anything. But he did throw 38 touchdowns in a season. He's thrown over 30 twice, with not a lot of interceptions in those years. So I get it, but
Like, I didn't
we don't want to
Dak,
belittle the entire regular season just because a guy hasn't won a playoff.
But I'm not. But, like, I didn't even mention Dak. We agree Dak is because Dak has had gaudier stats than anything Herbert's done. And he's won a couple playoff games. Like, Dak's thrown for 5,000.
5,000. I don't think he's ever thrown for 38. He threw for 37.
Okay, well, right. So, I mean, but go ahead.
Yeah, so here's what he has to do. Like you said, just accomplish something. He has to make the playoffs, and he has to have a great playoff game.
Sure.
Even if they lose. Because they might play Baltimore, Buffalo, or Kansas City in the first round.
Sure.
If you lose that. But if he's great and they lose to Kansas City in the playoffs.
There's no shame.
Right. So that's what he has to do. Doesn't even have to win the playoff game, but has to be great. Here's what's on the line for him. You might say, at first I thought, well, his status among some people, many people actually, as an elite quarterback. Because a lot of people clearly think he's an elite quarterback. But then I thought, no, you know what really is on the line for him? His reputation or the belief that he is Jim Harbaugh's favorite quarterback. Because if they don't make the playoffs or make the playoffs and Justin's bad again and they lose, and J.J. McCarthy plays well, Minnesota wins 12 games, they get to because Harbaugh has already talked about how much he loves. Yeah, he talked glowingly about Herbert too. But he's talked, J.J. McCarthy was the best player in last year's draft. J.J. McCarthy had the greatest passing day he has ever seen in his life at Pro Day. Like, he clearly loves McCarthy, who he won a national championship with. If Justin Herbert doesn't, to use your words, accomplish something this year, people are going to be like, man, would Harbaugh rather have Herbert? And would Harbaugh trade Herbert to Minnesota for J.J. McCarthy? And honestly, if I'm Minnesota, I'm picking up the phone.
Of course. Oh, yeah. If you're Minnesota.
I'm picking up the phone. Seriously. I mean, that's what's on the line.
So this was the Parkins special when you were out. Danny Parkins came and brought his graphics with him. So this is the one that
he travels with his graphics.
Yes, he had a little suitcase. He popped it open like Pulp Fiction and brought out this graphic. First 5 seasons, Herbert and Peyton Manning. So he's like, all right, we don't have the graphic because Parkins, as I mentioned, it's in his suitcase. He took it with
we really not?
We don't really have it.
Okay, they're identical.
It's in his suitcase,
The record is almost identical. It's like 41 wins versus 42 wins. It's 137 touchdowns versus 138 touchdowns.
Correct.
It's 0-2 in the playoffs versus 0-3 in the passer rating.
So here's the graphic we do have, because then I had a counter graphic. Do we have this one, Dust, or no?
We don't have, there we go.
Well, first 5 seasons of 40 or regular season wins, no playoff wins. It's Justin Herbert, Andy Dalton, Peyton Manning, my guy Steve Grogan. So here's the thing. Parkins always talks about Peyton Manning. I'm like, all right, but it's probably, if it doesn't go well, I feel like, oh, Andy Dalton, really good, the red rifle.
Well, and I think he's I think
not always.
You don't want
all
that,
roads don't lead to Peyton Manning.
And this is why I
or
find
even Steve Grogan.
And by the way,
you don't want to be Steve Grogan.
Shout out.
He was solid, good quarterback. I know he had
but if Justin Herbert ends up being Andy Dalton or Steve Grogan, it's a huge disappointment.
Probably.
And before I rip Danny to shreds, shout out Danny, who's right now in the midst of doing 24 straight hours of radio on 670 The Score in Chicago, trying to raise money for brain cancer research. He does it every year. It's a really cool thing. So shout out to him.
Now rip him to shreds.
Okay, good. So what he leaves out is that year 2, Peyton Manning was All-Pro, second in MVP voting. They went 13-3. Year 3, Peyton Manning, he led the NFL in touchdowns and yards and was All-Pro again. And by the way, but he had an awful rookie year and then a bad year 4, which is why the numbers over 5 years equal Justin Herbert's, who's just been very steady, like a B+.
He hasn't had a bad
No, he hasn't had a bad year.
He's
just been like A-, B+. You know what I mean? Every step of the way.
Started out gangbusters.
Correct. But the problem with the comp is you are setting yourself up for disappointment, because this was Peyton in year 6. Peyton in year 6 was league MVP, his first 2 playoff games had a 145 passer rating, 8 touchdowns, no picks, including a 5-touchdown perfect passer rating game against Kansas City, led the league in completion percentage, led the league in passing yards, lost in the AFC Championship game, and starting in year 6, had one of the better 4-year runs of any quarterback ever. When he went 50-14, was all-pro all 4 years, won 2 MVPs, and won a Super Bowl. So yeah, I agree. If Justin Herbert's about to go on this run.
Well, this run looks crazy, but the previous graphic didn't seem out of reach.
You don't think it's out? I don't know if we can cycle back to it.
29 touchdowns? He could do that. 29 and 10 and 200 yards? He could do that.
1 league MVP, first team All-Pro, the most passing yards in football.
The other thing is, is Harbaugh going to throw the ball around like this?
Well, the sneaky argument for Jalen Hurts in relation to this, because Hurts and Herbert couldn't have more dissimilar throwing motions, resumes, pedigree, opinions, all of it, is the Chargers asked Herbert to be the player the Eagles asked Hurts to be 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Take care of the football, lean on the defense, and if we need you, make some big throws. And Hurts did it to the tune of they got to the Super Bowl, and then in the Super Bowl needed some big plays, and he made them. And Herbert did it to the tune of one of the worst playoff games anyone's played in the last decade in round 1 against a Texans team that was limping to the finish line.
They asked Josh Allen to do that too, by the way.
Yes, right. To be
But it also speaks to Bruce's point of the J.J. McCarthy style quarterback would almost fit better with Harbaugh. And Justin Herbert, throw it around, fits better with Justin Jefferson.
And Herbert with O'Connell?
I think the Vikings would be thrilled to do that, depending on what happens with J.J.
Let's see what happens this year. Let's see what happens. It's not out there. I'm just saying.
Feels like it's out there now.
Let Herbert have
what about a year like last year? Where you're fine in the regular season, they get to the playoffs, and then he falls apart.
There's another thing that has to happen, which is McCarthy playing
Has to be well.
McCarthy plays well. Herbert does what he did last year, flops in the playoffs. It can happen.
Now it's out there.
And Justin Jefferson. If I'm Justin Jefferson.
Hey, it's out there now. Head down to Baltimore, where Harbaugh is heaping praise on Lamar's passing. Now, Lamar threw for almost 4,200 yards last year, led the league in yards per pass attempt, so that was great.
So I'm a bad guy. So this is where I get set up to be a hater, because that's just obviously objectively not true. And every year, we are subjected to, in the offseason, a different Harbaugh quote like this, which is, remember last year, what it was, we have big goals for Lamar Jackson. The vision. Recognizes the greatest quarterback ever to play in the history of the National Football League. And this year, he has one-upped it, which is, because I think this is higher praise. Because greatest quarterback to ever play involves leadership, intangible toughness, and his running. He's now saying, throw all that aside. Just pure passing. He's as good as anyone there's ever been. And even the biggest Lamar Jackson fans, I think, don't think he's one of the 10 greatest passers that's ever played. He had an unbelievable season. I don't think, Brew, you think he's, again, I'll do it again.
We'll see.
Mahomes, Brady, Peyton, Rodgers, Marino, Young, Favre, Breeze, Elway, Burrow. Just pure passing. And I'll leave out Matt Stafford for 11 and Phillip Rivers for an even dozen. Again, if that's not quarterbacking, but it just, he says pure passing. And last year, Lamar was unbelievable throwing the ball. It was also the first year he's ever thrown for more than 3,700 yards. It is not being a hater to say that's an outrageous statement.
The one thing I'll take issue with what he says is as great. I don't know if it's as great.
As good as any
passer. He's thrown it as good as any passer there's ever been. So that's like no one's ever thrown it better.
Yeah.
But when he says historically great, now initially it does sound crazy because of the questions about Lamar when he entered the league, the struggles he had at points earlier in his career, at points, not every single year, of course. The fact that he's a great runner and he's known more really for his running until maybe last year as far as a quarterback. and the struggles that he's had in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The statement wasn't about Lamar being steely. It wasn't about Lamar having these winning chops. Like, no one's had more winning chops than Lamar. The statement is about him throwing the football. And Harbaugh even said it. The numbers are starting to bear that out. Like, look at these numbers. This is in the Super Bowl era. This is where Lamar ranks all time. Third greatest passer rating in the Super Bowl era. Highest TD percentage. Fifth in interception percentage. And fifth in yards per attempt. The two guys ahead of him in passer rating. Here they are. Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes.
Very good.
Now, he's never going to throw for a ton of yards because they don't throw it. He does not throw it. He has had, and this is another reason it sounds crazy, because he doesn't throw the ball a lot.
Right.
He's thrown it 500 times, never in his career. He's never had a season throwing 500 passes or more. Mahomes, 6 out of his 7 years, has thrown it 500. The one he didn't, he only played 14 games. So that just shows you. But the reason he doesn't pass it is not because he can't throw it. Early on, maybe. But now it's because the dude is such a great runner. Oh, and now we got Derrick Henry, too. So, and here's the other thing, Nick. He put up those numbers and has never had a great wide receiver.
Well, but that's a little chicken and the egg.
How?
Because would Hollywood Brown's career have gone differently as a first-round pick, a highly sought-after guy, if when he was drafted, Lamar was a better passer?
He's been elsewhere, though. He's been in Arizona. Now he hadn't played much in Kansas City. But
So,
he's never, you got to admit, Hollywood Brown ain't a great receiver. He's fine. He's good.
But it's not for lack of trying. They've spent a lot of resources at that spot. They've spent a lot of first-round picks at that spot. And I think some of that is Lamar related. Like, which guy? Are you standing on the Hollywood? That's where Hollywood. I don't know if Zay Flowers has fully reached his. Like, you like Zay more than me, so it's a weird spot.
Good.
Every year waiting for Bateman to have this big year. If Lamar Jackson is one of the greatest passers ever, and the Ravens keep underachieving, and they never throw the ball all the time, then you know what I would do if I were the Ravens? I'd change it up. I'd be like, we have a guy who's evidently as good of a passer as anyone ever. And clearly, those numbers, if we believe that...
They did change it up in the playoffs and they lost to Kansas City.
Right, and then everyone got mad at them for doing it.
Nick, we don't say Dan Marino wasn't an all-time great passer because his numbers plummeted in the playoffs. Completion percentage, passer rating, touchdown percentage, interception percentage went up. But I'm saying, like, you just were talking about the playoffs.
No, what I'm saying...
When you bring up they've underachieved, they haven't underachieved in the regular season.
What I'm saying is that, and this is where, again, I feel like I'm arguing something everyone agrees with. Does anybody think Lamar Jackson's as good of a passer as Peyton Manning? I don't. Is that controversial? He has a higher career passer rating than Peyton Manning. I'm going to go ahead and say, if you remove running from the game, which is what Harbaugh's talking about, I think you'd be better off with Peyton Manning than Lamar Jackson if quarterbacks were not allowed to scramble. I'm going to say that. You know what? I'm going to throw Joe. I didn't include him on my list. I'm going to include Joe Montana. I'm going to say. I'm going to say that if we are just talking about pure passing, I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers over Lamar Jackson. I'm going to.
So what do the numbers mean? What do those numbers mean?
I think those numbers, Brew, are a product of a lot of different things. I think it is noteworthy that you did TD percentage, interception percentage, because he is a very efficient passer. I also think the fact that he's thrown for more than 3,700 yards one time.
But we also know today, and you know this, total yards is not like the end-all, be-all measurement of who's a great quarterback. The year Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns,
well, he also had
it wasn't a great
picks.
year.
I know that. But
and a lot of guys that are high in the league in yards per game. I mean, last year, Purdy, in his worst season, was like, I think top 5 in yards per game.
But so this is hold on.
I don't think that's the measurement.
I don't want to argue something that we agree on. So I already mentioned Montana, Manning, Rodgers. I'll throw another name out there. If you remove running from the game, I think I'd rather have Drew Brees than Lamar. If we're just talking about passing, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Drew Brees. Do you guys
Last year, Lamar Jackson had the fourth best passer rating ever in a season. And only two players have done it more, Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning.
And if he threw for, and last year he threw for over 4,000 yards first time in his career. If that's who he is moving forward, then we can start talking about him on this list. Right now, he's not in the top dozen of passers in the history of the league. And I think, Brew, you agree with me.
Well, like I said, if you want to say maybe it's a little premature, but I think he's getting better.
Yeah.
And his career, those weren't numbers, those rankings from last year. They were rankings from his career. They don't throw it a lot, not just because he can't throw. They don't throw it as much because he's such a great runner.
Correct, but don't you also think that part of the way he is defended and part of the way their offense works has to do with the running piece of it? That because defenses are so, and this is why he's a great player.
41 touchdowns last year.
And Brew, when you're saying he wasn't a good passer, he threw 36. His first year as a starter, he threw 36.
And
you're saying he wasn't a good passer yet. And he had a passer rating that was an all-time high one there. And you're saying he wasn't a good passer yet. Like, this is what happens with the media and the coach and Lamar. Ben Solak says he's the MVP every year, writes the article. Harbaugh says he's going to be the greatest player of all time, and he's as good a passer as anybody ever. And then somebody is like, okay, none of us actually believe any of that. Like, we don't nobody.
But the numbers do back it up.
No, the numbers don't back up that he's as good as any passer ever.
No, I agree with that. But they back up that he's historically great.
Oh, he is a historically great player. But nobody actually believes he is currently the best passer in his own division. And so then if I stand up here and be like, hey, if we took running out of the game, I think Burrow's more effective, which, again, you can't take it out of the game except for in this conversation, then all of a sudden you're a bad guy when all of us agree with it. Like, Brew, I think you agree with that. Last year even.
I'm looking objectively at his numbers. Eye test, people have different versions of what they like and don't like.
Brew, the
numbers speaks for itself.
Yeah, right, but if we were to do the opposite of that, Brew, which is over the course of this many years, how many guys have thrown for more yards? And
but you know, Nick, that total yards is not the measurement anymore of who's a great passer.
I gotta tell you, touchdown percentage is not the go-to measurement.
It's a big one.
It's certainly
percentage of your passes that are touchdowns. That's not big.
No, Brew, the idea that passing yards is now like a passe stat.
I'm not saying it's irrelevant. I'm just saying there are a lot of guys that throw for a ton of yards, but we don't think of as great quarterbacks.
Yeah, but
they're behind. They're trying to come. Dak was about to throw for 6,000 yards one year.
But the counterfactual is, you are right that throwing for a bunch of yards does not make you a great quarterback. But all of the great quarterbacks ever, except for Lamar, have a bunch of years they threw for a ton of yards. And I think that's...
They also threw a lot more interceptions. This dude hasn't thrown more than 7 interceptions his last 3 seasons.
Yeah, he's a great player. But the standard, if the standard is it's a passing contest, and I can pick Peyton Manning or Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Lamar, I'll go with those other 3. That's all. It's not controversial.
Well, like I said, that's a little as any passer there's ever been. But historically great passing the football, and the numbers are starting to show it. He's building an argument. He is building an argument.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.